25,000 businesses nationwide trust the business that's in your backyard. Digital Air Strike's AI technology and smart ad solutions get more traffic for your business. We increase leads, nurture prospects, boost sales, and provide 24/7 customer service. Contact us today to find out how Digital Air Strike gives businesses an unfair online advantage.
Do you like to collaborate and solve problems? At GCU, you can earn your degree in computer science, software development, IT, or cybersecurity to start building a career in one of these high-demand technology programs. Find your purpose at gcu.edu.
Welcome to AZ Business Magazine's Tech Talk discussion on artificial intelligence and how it's impacting the business community in Arizona. My name is Michael Gossi. I'm the editor-in-chief at AZ Big Media. And I'm honored today to be with some of the leading experts in artificial intelligence in Arizona. I'd like to turn it over to you. Why don't you introduce yourselves and tell us who you are?
Okay, you can go first. I'm Erica Sietsma. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Digital Air Strike. We're a consumer engagement technology solution leveraging artificial intelligence to power communication between businesses and consumers.
Hello everyone, I'm Dwight Farris. I'm a professor at Grand Canyon University. I teach computer science. I've been essentially, dealing with AI for 50 years, pretty much. So I've been a part of the evolution of artificial intelligence, and I'm delighted to be here.
And joining us remotely is Robert Brown, Managing Director of BDO Digital. So welcome, Robert. So welcome everyone, and let's just dive right in with the first question. So Erica, tell me how you define artificial intelligence as it pertains to your business.
So as it pertains to our business, we use artificial intelligence, a few different aspects of it. We're not building robots or anything like that. Since we're trying to engage with consumers, we use a myriad of different functions of artificial intelligence. We use cognitive services to basically digest any of the natural language communications that we're having with consumers, and to analyze those communications to give us better analysis of what was the consumer really wanting, what were their intentions, and then to build out predictive analytics so that the next time we engage with that consumer or someone similar to that consumer, we know how to better engage on behalf of the business. So it doesn't always take a human having to be the one on the other end communicating, especially right now as we look at during COVID times when a lot of businesses, especially retail businesses, have had to get very lean. It makes it tough to truly provide that great customer experience when everything is virtual. So we help power that, and a huge part of that is leveraging artificial intelligence.
At BDO, we look at artificial intelligence as really a enabling technology rather than specifically a core application. AI is very good at being trained to then look at data and predict particular outcomes, particular models and ideas in terms of information and insight that wouldn't necessarily be gleaned from a normal report. So artificial intelligence is very good in terms of a core technology, but it requires an application, an interface, as well as an ability to access portions of data, and a training module that really takes the technology and creates the outcome.
Dr. Farris, same question. How do you define artificial intelligence as it pertains to what you're doing at GCU?
Okay, well, as far as education, we need to make sure, and there's several aspects of artificial intelligence, but I'll just deal with cybersecurity. With the virtualization of everything now, cybersecurity is a high-end concern. And so simply what we try to convey to students, and we're talking computer science, computer programmers, cybersecurity, IT students, is that we need to understand what cybersecurity is, or what artificial intelligence and cybersecurity is. And if you look at cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, you're talking about data. You're talking about processing data, processing high amounts of data, and that's what's happening in our world now with the pandemic. So we're utilizing artificial intelligence along with human intelligence, so don't dismiss that, to make sure that these data are processed correctly.
What other ways are you utilizing artificial intelligence in education?
Well, in education specifically, we're looking for AI to develop some of the environments that we're using for teaching. We're looking at how students are responding. We're beginning to gather data on responses to remote learning and all that, and we're using artificial intelligence to let us know what's actually effective and what's not effective in education. application. So that's pretty big across all of higher education. How are we going to develop these ongoing environments based on these new models of learning?
And how is GCU preparing students to use artificial intelligence in the real world?
Well, once again, I'll just stick with cybersecurity and computer science. Essentially, some of the programming languages feed into data processing and AI. So we're enhancing that particular skill set to make sure that students can go into these companies and understand how AI is being used for businesses.
How do you utilize artificial intelligence in your business? At BDO, we look at artificial intelligence in terms of the use to really focus on how we can gain insights to information that's within the business, again, to create data-driven outcomes. So like a human being, which has a cognitive capability, we have an ability to understand data and interpret data. Artificial intelligence is really going to be utilized to do that very same thing. So in many cases, as we as humans look at AI as that core technology, we have to train AI as a core technology to do what we as humans can do. The benefit of doing that is certainly it provides scalability. It provides sort of repetition in the ability to collect data, assimilate data, and actually make an outcome. So these are obviously very key for things such as accounting systems, where we need to look at data and interpret data, not just saying what the numbers are, but what do the numbers mean. So we actually can combine that with other areas of the business, such as sales activity, where we combine that with the sales reporting to then determine what is the sales effectiveness. So artificial intelligence can be utilized to measure those two areas and provide an outcome to say, why are the top 20% of our salespeople more effective than the bottom 80% of our salespeople that perhaps may not be? Again, those top 20% generating the majority of the revenue. So we can look in terms of what they're saying, how they're saying it, as well as the sales activity of what they're producing, and come up with information that gives us a sense of what are they saying that is becoming much more successful for the business. So AI can actually monitor these conversations, monitor the data, monitor the outcomes, and look at insight and provide that insight on a real-time basis to tell businesses how well their business is doing.
It's being used for businesses.
And Erica, how's Digital Air Strike utilizing artificial intelligence on a day-to-day basis in your business?
I mean, just to exactly, what we're just saying is that amount of data processing. So when we're dealing with consumers, our suite of solutions for our clients really runs the gamut of every step of the customer journey, from awareness solutions and even in advertising, getting you the right message at the right time. That's always been the age-old adage of advertising, but it's a lot more complicated in today's day and age. Right? If something's highly, highly relevant and highly, highly targeted to you, you are more likely to convert. You're less likely to be bothered by that ad. And I think that's very, very exciting. And then you start to communicate with the business. If you have a bad experience there, you fall out of that process. So then we use AI, day to day to power every solution, so that when you're having that conversation, like I said before, it is more appropriate to you. We're answering the things the way you would want them to be answered, or engaging, or giving you options that are more relevant to you. If I'm, for example, I have an electric vehicle, in no world would a truck ad be correct for me. In no world, right? You don't even need to give me the little option for a truck, right? Like in my options, you don't even need to show me that inventory. I don't care. I don't care about towing capacity. And artificial intelligence allows to give me that experience, so it just doesn't even come on the radar for me, which is great because it keeps my process tight. And I sometimes use that example of no matter where the customer's in their journey. If you've ever gone to like a cheesecake factory and you get that menu, you're like, oh, I mean, it takes you like an hour and a half to decide. I mean, there's every option. I mean, you can have Chinese, you can have Mexican, whereas if you go to somewhere that's got a much tighter menu, you're more likely to decide quicker, and move on with the experience instead of getting stuck, and then you're getting starving by the time you're an hour in trying to figure out what you want. And again, artificial intelligence is sitting there in the back end, whether it's from a data processing standpoint, a machine learning standpoint, to an actual kind of the really cool, because there's some pretty boring aspects of artificial intelligence depending on how broad you want to paint that brush. I mean, there's the really cool, which some people would say is only artificial intelligence, which would be true, like, very natural voice recognition, image recognition that only a human could do right now. And we're starting to see, that. But on the flip side, machine learning, for a lot of us, we would consider that very much artificial intelligence. We would consider natural language processing. For years, you've all probably filled out a survey that had 45 questions in it. You're going through, one of our big industries is automotive, and car manufacturers still send out that 45, 50 question survey because they're just trying to figure out how your experience was. And it's so long because they can't read natural language. You can't just answer, how was your experience, without a human reading it. Up until about 5-6 years ago, they couldn't really process it. And now we can, and we can really use, again, what's amazing about the last 5 to 6 years in the leaps that I made 6 years ago to do natural language processing, you had to hire a PhD. You had to hire someone that was a PhD in natural language processing, and thank you to the Microsofts and the Googles and the Amazons of the world and even the Facebooks. They have invested very heavily in this technology and provide it more open source to companies like ours so that we don't have to hire a PhD in natural language processing. We can use some out-of-the-box solutions that we then customize to our technology. So it literally powers almost every, we have it interrelated to every single step of that customer journey.
So how has artificial intelligence made Digital Air Strike better at what you do as a company?
Well, the solutions we provide are more targeted. They're more relevant to our consumers. It's a better customer experience, and it's less humans. So even for ourselves, we've been able to automate our own internal processes to make our teams more efficient. And that enables then a team member who maybe all day long had to respond to reviews on behalf of a business. That can get very boring very fast. With natural language processing, now our solutions are able to propose responses, and even getting to the point where soon we'll be able to just push the response to the site with a confidence rating of, hey, we know this one is right. It's a review of, this was a great experience, thanks so much. You don't necessarily need a human responding to every single one of those, right? There's a myriad of different ways you can handle that. Now, an upset customer, certainly, that's where we want to focus human attention, right? You want to use your human assets, who are kind of the most valuable piece of the company, in the best way possible so that they enjoy their jobs.
How does artificial intelligence make you even better at what you do? At BDO, we look at artificial intelligence in terms of making people better, and people are part of the business systems and processes that make up a company. So oftentimes we look at people, and we need to hire more people to solve more and more problems as companies scale and get larger. Well, those people in often cases become data gatherers, people that are very intelligent on looking for pieces of information that they can gather to then roll them up into a report that then gets consumed by someone else. Artificial intelligence is a core technology provided into systems that these very same data collectors use. Can now be converted, these people can be converted instead of data gatherers to what we call data proctors. So because they understand the nuances of the data, what's being collected, artificial intelligence doesn't necessarily replace their job, but it moves that data collector to become that data proctor. So now they become more valuable to the organization. They have an ability now to actually, through more rapid and more automated processes, to get insight on the information that has been collected that then can be utilized for them to make recommended decisions within the business. And this is very important because this actually shifts the value of the workforce up quite a few notches, because now instead of hiring people to collect, we now hire people to make decisions, and we want more people within businesses to make more qualified decisions to create better outcomes for the business at hand.
Dr. Farris, how has AI made GCU better at educating students?
Well, you mentioned quite a few aspects that we're focusing on. Machine learning, in case you don't know, this is essentially AI applied to all of these devices that tend to learn about human behavior, et cetera. And this is programming, data processing, and we're teaching to this. We have a very good example. We use Google. Now, Google has invested a lot of time and money into developing AI procedures, basically, once you log into your Gmail account and you go to Walmart and you log into your social media, Google knows just about everything that you're doing based on AI principles. So they will set you up to buy whatever you want to buy from the retail side. They will tell you where you need to go and even help you to get home if you're lost. This is all artificial intelligence. So we're teaching these aspects from the programming aspect, from the data processing aspect, and all of that. A lot of our students are very interested. They think that, well, AI is magic, of course. When we get into the kind of the area of programming, they say, oh no, this can't be what AI is. But that is what AI is. It's high-level programming, it's math. I know you're all gonna cringe, oh no, not that. But it is math, it's data processing, and it's very, very effective. And it's becoming more and more a part of how we handle just about all the data that we're processing, which is increasing. And I'll mention, many of you know what an IoT is, Internet of Things. Your Alexa, even your car, your electric car is now a data processing engine. So it's sending information via these magic robots that are on the web called bots. And this is all artificial intelligence. And we teach our students to understand those languages and program those aspects that we're using in the consumer world right now. So.
You say some of the students look at AI and they say, it's magic. What are some of the common misconceptions that you'd like to correct about AI out in the world right now?
The first thing is that, well, you push a button and all of a sudden there's this robot that
Yeah, exactly.
And it knows
We'll get there.
It knows all human behaviors, and you just have to talk to it, and oh, it's magic. I mean, this is well, we're getting there. There's quantum computing, quantum mechanics, all of that. That's the wave of the future. But behind that is a lot of hard work. That's one thing that we have to help our students understand. Yes, some of our users are seeing some of the results of it, but it's a lot of programming, a lot of data processing. We have to reel them in a little bit, okay? We'll show them a video on some of the things that Google and Amazon are doing, and they're like, woo, so we get them excited, so we trap them and hook them. And then okay, here's your assignment. And it's a 50-page programming assignment to produce a bot that they'll launch on the web, et cetera.
Erica, are there some misconceptions out there about AI that you'd like to kind of...
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly what you said, that artificial intelligence, people immediately jump to sometimes worst possible scenario of what you would think of technology, and computers are going to take over. And I think what they don't realize is how many really kind of basic functions that it helps us with every day, right? Really, really simple principles that would have taken, hundreds of thousands more lines of code. So that's an engineer's exponential time. More resources, having to hire that PhD, or having to have 30 people do something that a computer could do much faster. And it's not to say that then you're going to take those 30 people. I think 2 people think, oh, it's going to automate away my job. If anything, it can actually make your job more rewarding, because it takes away some of those just rote processes. As we get into more image processing, there's some really exciting things. We've had document readers for a while, but now we can start to get into more complex, taking hard paper and imaging that and reading it and reading someone's handwriting better, outside of maybe kind of OCR systems from the past, where you can scan your driver's license, take the information off of it. So I think the applications are so wide ranging, but again, for really basic things that maybe is a little less exciting, a little bit less sizzle, but makes a world of difference. So I love that example you use of how your email, or I'm a big Google person, and how it can suggest things, or kind of, and people think, oh, that's weird. No, it's time saving, folks. It'll save you a ton of time. If my Internet of Things, I don't have a smart refrigerator, but I'm about this close to doing it, because man, I hate having to figure out what we need. And we're like, you forget the Cheerios or whatever it is, and it is things like that could really, it changes our day-to-day lives in a really positive, not scary way. And I think that's the misconception, is that artificial intelligence means, the computers are going to take over. And if
Westworld.
anything, it's making our
Yeah,
lives.
Cyberdyne,
Yeah, exactly.
Terminator.
So,
You
exactly.
mentioned earlier how much AI had changed Digital Air Strike over the last 5 or 6 years. How do you see it changing Digital Air Strike and what you do in the next 5 or 6 years?
Well, and really where it's changed is just in the last year. I mean, and some of our biggest leaps have really been in the last 6 months. We have a new VP of technology who, you know, thanks to him, kind of doing, I think, a little bit of what you were saying is just breaking it down, like it's not scary. You know, before some of our past engineering members would be like, oh, we gotta change all these things to implement. Oh, it's so much work and we've gotta redo everything. Where he was like, no, you don't. Like, just start small with this and then build on it. And we've had such rapid expansion. Now the technology is definitely in a better place. I definitely have like PowerPoint mock-ups of tools using natural language processing from 5-6 years ago. That some of those use cases are now becoming more off the shelf without having to have kind of this army of master's degrees and PhDs that can come in. We'll have to talk about recruiting from your classes. You know, having some of your team members come in. But it's really in the last 6 months where we've seen the biggest leaps and bounds. I think it's been, we more toyed with it, of like, oh, could we do this? And it was kind of made more overcomplicated. And now, you know, looking at the next year, 2 years, I mean, game, set, match. I mean, I really do think we will be able to do all the things we've been kind of talking about as a company and as a consumer engagement solutions provider. You know, we see this kind of mecca where our clients can have great visibility into, hey, where can I improve my business, right? I mean, it's just starting to get to a point, even as much as like a year ago, how kind of digesting what all of this consumer feedback, we have a consumer feedback survey, and we keep it more open text. And to be able to digest that, it would be not a word cloud, more sophisticated that, but like, you know, the word coffee, positive 32%. The word coffee, negative 3%. You know, what does that even tell me? I don't even know what this means. Like, coffee positive, my coffee's good, but when it's great, you know, you have to then still root through all the reviews and still read all the words. And, you know, we see that holy grail being, hey, you know, as a busy retail business owner, I don't have time to read it all. You know, we'll show some of our bigger enterprise clients like a cool looking, oh, that looks so beautiful. But even then, they can't figure out how to fix it. They don't know what to do. We really want to be able to give them very tactical as a business owner. Your coffee is only good on Saturdays. So whoever's responsible for the coffee, Monday through Friday is doing a bad job. You know, whatever the Saturday coffee, fix that. You know, or keep that, or you know, that really tactical. That as a business owner, I go, oh, okay, I can fix that. That's easy. You know. There's going to be some things for training, you know, like your training could be better. Oh, okay, that's a slow fix. But I think, you know, being able to pull that out, it makes our clients' lives easier. It helps them save money in advertising, right? We can tell you exactly which clients to target, which ones not to worry about, which ones, you know, now is their time based on buying history. They tend to get antsy every 4 years. And, you know, looking at their buying history, and, you know, they're probably becoming empty nesters based on what we know about them. And I think the other side of kind of what you can do in the power of, you know, you look at data processing, and data privacy and data security is certainly a hot topic everywhere. I think there are ways we'll shoot ourselves in the foot, though, with some of the things we're doing. And as a consumer, we'll end up paying for it. And we think it's so much better. You know, I don't want people to know what I buy. Well, I'm like, yes, I sign up for everything. Yes, use my data. Yes, use my data. Because it makes it more relevant for me. I get less junk if I let them use my data in the right way, and certainly you have to look for bad actors, but the power in being able to pin the different disparate data sources for the consumer is who will win ultimately, right? You don't have a beef with buying a car when you're ready to buy a car, or to buy that thing when you're ready to buy it. Nobody's forcing you, with or without your data, to sign the bottom line. And I think there's so much opportunity there, and you're seeing some places start to be more truthful about data privacy and what it really means, you know, versus trying to make businesses seem the bad guys. And, you know, so I think there's a lot of opportunity there as we look at AI.
Dr. Farris, how do you see AI impacting GCU over the next 5-6 years? Not just in terms of the institution, but in terms of like how you're educating students and preparing them for the world and to go out there and live in a world filled with AI.
Well, the one thing that you did say, this off-the-shelf products that are becoming AI-driven, this is essentially what our students are focusing on, building those products for corporations. So once they get out there, they can actually showcase what they've actually been a part of, both as a student and even, as an intern or whatever. We've had several students intern at Intel, intern at some of the other higher level companies that essentially digging into processing and AI and building actual products that the student will actually patent that's AI driven. So once again, it requires a lot of work. We support the students, we drive the heck out of them, but we keep them going and they do what needs to be done to understand both the product, the evolution of AI, and what will happen to that particular product in the next, early future to further down the line as far as artificial intelligence. So this is one thing that remember AI, the way we view it now is relatively new. As you stated, essentially its usefulness has increased quite a bit in the last 5 years, particularly. And with our current conditions, with data security, cybersecurity, all of this, it's increasing even further. And our students, and a lot of students across, many institutions are at the cusp of, helping those particular products become a reality.
How do you see artificial intelligence further changing or impacting your industry in the future? At BDO, artificial intelligence really will shape every industry. If you look at technology per se, technology is actually very universal across different industries. We use email to communicate, whether we're in a manufacturing business or whether we're in a retail business. We use things like CRM to let us manage our customers, again, whether we're in a manufacturing industry or a retail industry. And we also have things like ERP systems that help us manage how the business is actually performing, including reports that are being generated. So in many cases, this core technology of artificial intelligence can actually enhance the ability of those systems to make better decisions, but more importantly, can actually expose new opportunities of where technology in being added to those core systems could actually be used to better engage a customer through, let's say, social media. And it isn't just in terms of what they say, but it may be the sentiment, the meaning, the understanding, the emotion that may be going on beyond just the text that's being displayed in some of these areas. So we can actually use artificial intelligence to actually change the way we conduct business rather than just the way we collect information about the business. And so we look at things like customer sentiment analysis, where we look at the conversations of people out there, and they may be saying things that are being transcribed to text that are being posted on social, but they may actually have a very different meaning than what is actually being presented in text. They always say never have a discussion with somebody where you want to have a meaningful outcome through email, because in many cases it can be misconstrued or misinterpreted. Well, artificial intelligence can actually improve that because it can understand emotion and sentiment and analysis, not totally the way a human being does, but it can actually understand and suggest outcomes that may be involved in how the business is actually engaging the marketplace, as an example.
Are there areas or industries in Arizona that you see underutilizing AI at this point?
Well, underutilization of AI is a default. I mean, it's so new, really, in its usefulness. Everyone, the corporations are still figuring it out. You mentioned some of the engineers. Engineers with AI, they'll go, we don't really want to worry about that now because it's something different. But it's a process of determining what you can actually do with that particular product. And usually it's a basic process that it's helping with. And everyone's like, well, we can better understand this process by understanding what AI we can utilize with it. And that's becoming the default now as well. So it's a discovery. We're still in the discovery phase as far as artificial intelligence. Even though, yes, it's been around a while, everyone's like, oh no, yes, we're getting to the Terminator stage and pretty soon the missiles will go and it'll be in. But that's not AI, that's science fiction or whatever. But AI is truly a method of understanding human behavior, data processing, and then just what we need to do our jobs better. And this is the message that I convey to our students. You have to understand that aspect of it too. Artificial intelligence is not remove the humans, although I'm an advocate of that because I hate humans. No, no, it's a part of developing intelligence about what we do on an everyday basis. And that is what artificial intelligence is, and that's what we teach.
Erica, Dr. Farris just mentioned that some businesses are just figuring out. Do you remember when you had your aha moment when you said to yourself, wow, this is the impact that AI could have on our business?
I mean, it was that, I want to say, it was just as I was moving to Phoenix in 2015. I was still with Digital Air Strike. I'd been remote and in a different role, and had been working a lot with our large manufacturer clients like General Motors, Ford, and looking at the solutions out there for customer feedback. At the time, we weren't as diverse as we are now. We didn't have AI chatbots. We were really focused on more the customer experience from the feedback standpoint, and then engaging on new digital mediums like social, reputation management. And just looking at all this feedback, and I would just randomly stumble across, like in our client mobile app, a customer's feedback where they had said, hey, I found it really difficult to pull out of your service lane. There's all these arrows showing me how to get in, and then when I got in, my car, when I came to pick up my car, it was parked in this spot, and I couldn't figure out how to get out, and all these guys are staring at me, and I'm trying to figure out, and I just happened to stumble across that, and I screenshot it, and I sent it to the client, and I said, here's a great opportunity to, give this customer a delightful experience. Go out there, paint a line in your service drive on how to get out, write exit on it, take a picture, and send it back to this woman. And they did, and they had a customer for life. I mean, she was just blown away, because she'd given it 5 stars. She thought it was great. And I started to realize businesses, they'll focus on the negative, and actually when you're asking customer for their feedback in a survey process, 85%, and this is predominantly car dealers, are actually a 4 or 5 star. They had a great experience. It's only about 15% will give a 1 or a 2, usually just a 1. And that's kind of true with any kind of survey methodology. They tend to be on the ends. And what I found is our clients weren't reading the positive feedback. And hidden in that positive feedback were these gems of turning someone into a fan. She was probably already loyal to a raving fan. It's hard to take a 1 star and turn them into a raving fan. You might be able to earn their business back. They're not going to be like, oh my gosh, you will never believe what this business just did. Like, of course they called me. I was so mad. I put it all over social. They had to call me. Whereas someone that already gave you a 4 or 5 star usually isn't getting any feedback outside of, a thanks so much. And that's where I really saw this opportunity really rooted in some of that positive feedback of how you could turn this into huge insights. And we actually started investigating heavily natural language processing at that point, because we did find someone was more likely to give more actionable feedback if you asked them less questions. Those 40, 45 question surveys that the manufacturers were doing, or like a JD Power does, by the time someone gets to the end, it's like, anything else you want to share? You're like, oh no, just give me that $1 you sent me and I'll fill it out, but you don't put anything else, you're done. And what they're able to ferret out of that was like, oh, people are mostly happy. You're like, oh, that's really helpful for a business. And so really I saw it there, and we investigated all these solutions. And again, back then, this is 5 years ago, the best you could do was like a word cloud. We used the early days of IBM's Watson. This is not great. It's gotten much better, but it was still kind of like copy, positive. There's just, you still had to read everything. You still had to have a human. And that's when I had all these visuals of what it would look like, and how it would just, it would tell the business owner, here are the 3 things you need to fix. Here are the 3 things you're doing great at. So they can go give kudos to those people, and they can even like disposition, what they're doing well. And we're finally just getting to that point where you can take all this varied feedback and put it in very layman's actionable insights, is what we called it. Not, business insights or behavioral insights that are, truly actionable insights. I can take it as a business owner and run with it. And that was about 5-6 years ago. I had all these visuals, and we talked to some companies even here in Phoenix, and they were like, oh, well, we've got a PhD in natural language processing, and they'll come in for a gajillion dollars and build this one instance for you. I'm like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. That's not scalable. So it's been years in the coming, and we're just getting there where you can really start doing it. And then more than just analyzing, giving feedback, now our tools can just do the thing. Now they can thank the customer for that great feedback, text the business owner, say, do this. If someone's in a chat, it can respond, and it's a world of difference. It's for a better consumer experience, makes you better as a business owner, and it's very exciting. I think the limits are, there are no limits as we go forward.
Great. So I want to finish now with a bold prediction from each of you. Tell me how you see artificial intelligence having its biggest impact on Arizona in the next 5 or 10 years. Bold prediction. Dr. Farris, you want to start?
Oh, I guess I have to start.
You start.
Bold
I
prediction.
copy your answer.
No, you can't do that. Well, I think we will do things smarter, and I'm using that term loosely because we have smartphones, we have smart refrigerators, smart blah, blah, blah. But behind those items and those devices is all artificial intelligence. And I think that is going to grow. And we're actually going to recognize that, wait, this is actually useful. It's not scary, it's not Terminator, it's actually useful. And I think we're going to understand that better. Well, we're in pandemic now, and we're like, we're never going to be normal. But I think we'll recognize what technology is going to do for us, and that will be at the forefront. It'll be artificial intelligence. We won't really know it, because we hear AI, we think of that movie with the little, and we're like, no, we don't want that. But it will be a part of our lives, completely, especially in a major metro area like Phoenix. And it's already a big thing, as you're stating. The one thing I do want to state that it's starting very basic functions that we don't really recognize, and it will continue to grow. It'll grow fast now because we're developing our new norms now, and it will evolve. Technology is robust now. I can remember the old days where we could barely dial in to get a dial tone for a computer. Now we're processing terabytes and mega terabytes of data using artificial intelligence, and this is going to be helpful. And this will change our world very quickly.
Yeah.
Phoenix has been kind of grown as a reputation as a connected region.
Mm-hmm.
Does it help that we kind of have built that reputation in terms of developing AI here?
Yes, we are becoming kind of the focus of what's happening because, okay, yes, we have a lot of dry heat and people are like, we can't stand that, but our economy is actually still doing pretty well because of how we've been able to handle, the changes in data, and this is attributed to AI as well. So yes, I think a lot will change here, and a lot of our country will focus on what's happening in the Phoenix metro area with technology, with AI, with some of the companies that are at the forefront. Maybe you should hire me as one of the
Exactly.
The $1 gazillion, that sounds good.
Yeah, you're right.
Bold prediction. How do you see artificial intelligence having its biggest impact on Arizona in the next 5 years? Well, Arizona, like every state in the United States, will have industries that are from manufacturing to retail to medical to a number of areas. And so with respect to Arizona's focus and the industries it most attracts, AI will become an important part of this, whether it's hospitality and let's say the Scottsdale and the resort areas. The ability for AI to change the way that businesses operate, and we're not suggesting that artificial intelligence will be a robot at the front desk when you check into these resorts, but it may also be a technology that's utilized to actually determine before you check in to those resorts, what is this client's requirements? What are their needs? What are their desires? What are their emotions? So in many cases, we can actually create customer profiling that based upon how they attend, let's say the restaurants or visit the restaurants or the spa or their charging habits, the types of products that they consume, is we can also utilize that in terms of loyalty and rewards to change the way that when they check in for the very next time, the customer experience and the customer journey has been better enabled through the use of artificial intelligence. So because Arizona has obviously a very large resort community, it attracts a great number of people and has seasonality. Perhaps we utilize the technology to change the way or recommend the way that visitors in the winter seasons might be better suited to play golf. Or perhaps information that changes the way that when they visit in maybe some of the hotter months, that it's nutritional based, that they're hydrating their body, they're keeping abreast of sort of safety issues because of the heat in those summer times. So artificial intelligence will change the way that businesses operate. And specifically with respect to the regionality and the seasonality of Arizona as a state, can be utilized to change the way that people visit, engage, live, operate in that state based upon how they live their lives and go about their business.
You're not off the hook. Bold prediction. How
Yeah.
do you see AI having its biggest impact in Arizona?
Well, I think Arizona has done a great job. I've been very impressed over the last 5 years, as I've gone to different conferences, with how much the state has invested in technology, in technology companies, supporting technology companies. Digital Air Strike is born and bred here. We were started in 2010 from, somewhat humble beginnings. We were started during a recession in 2009. And have turned into what we've turned into, and I think because of the great support of the Arizona community and how much talent we've been able to find. At one point we had an outsourced software engineering team, and we pulled it all in-house. We've been very lucky in finding a ton of great engineering resources here. We don't see that ending, and I think that's really going to power the future of our economy and our AI economy. And you're going to see it over in 5 years, I think, here more so than some other places where I've been and have lived. I think we'll see it kind of woven into the fabric of everything we do. I think a lot of Arizona business owners are very open to trying new things. They're very open to integrating new solutions, new technologies. And again, even something in a retail business as a point of sale system is going to be leveraging AI. I think everything we see and do, we see it, the ability for it to power some of our infrastructure pieces, from, smart electricity to, hopefully we'll look into smart roads. Those would be really cool. Especially with all the solar energy we have. Why would we not do that? So maybe I'll throw that out as our bold prediction. But I do see it, I mean, being here more so than other places because of that investment the state has made. The universities have all made. I mean, I've been really impressed. You've seen institutions. I don't know if it's something about, like, if you win the best party school, all of a sudden the dean is like, we did something wrong. And they go the other direction. And you've seen ASU just become this computer science powerhouse. I mean, some of their master's programs, we went to a fair there, a career fair, and some of their master's students come in from all over the world with a focus on machine learning, AI, NLP. I mean, it's really impressive to see that turn, and I think that's going to bode really well for the state as these team members here, and it's a great place to live. So you'll have all of that talent graduating from the university and staying in the state, hopefully. So
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Dwight Farris, thank you. Erica Sietsma from Digital Air Strike, thank you so much. And Robert Brown from BDO Digital, thank you for joining us for Tech Talk, and we'll see you next time.